Well, hello out there. Let's see. Oh, now we're live. Now we're actually live somewhere, I think, on one of those platforms. And good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, depending on where in the world you are. It's early afternoon here in Portland, and late afternoon in the East Coast, and 9 p.m. in England and France, and 10 p.m. Germany, and apparently I think 6 a.m. in at least some parts of Australia. And we are broadcasting on multiple platforms on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Twitch, among others. And feel free to share this with folks. I'll be on here for the next hour. And this is a thing I do fairly, somewhat predictably on the last Saturday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific time if I'm not on tour, and like this month. And this is sort of kicking off a tour. I'm going to be touring all over England, Scotland, Ireland, and Germany, or at least parts of those places, from mid-October until late November. California as well. So if you happen to live in any of those places, I'd love to hear from you about a gig possibility if you want to organize something, or just to promote anything I'm doing and come to the shows and etc. It's all at davidrovics.com, among other places. And it's a crowdsourced affair. The tour, everything is these days. Yeah, so I I just thought, with no further ado, I would. I know many of you might not be expecting this, but I'm just going to play some. I can see all your comments, by the way. And hello, Dust and Sanders, and feel free to say anything, questions, comments, anything. I'm happy to change the subject, but I have been finding that well, I'm a musician, and music is really good stuff. And a lot of people out there, if they are fans of my music, they might be more into politics than music, oftentimes, which is great. But music, for music's sake, is really good stuff, and it's also very therapeutic. And I know that anxiety and depression levels in this country and around the world are double what they are usually, for lots of reasons: pandemic, climate change, a lot of things. But I think, yeah, music is a good thing. And I've been playing music a lot lately, which might not surprise anybody for a musician to say, but it's like a lot more than usual. And it's and I've been finding, for whatever it's worth, just thought I'd share with folks, like, especially because I mean, there's a lot of wonderful musical traditions around the world, and improvisation is just part of most of them. And there's there are traditions around the world that are also, I think, I mean, I'd love to talk to an actual musicologist or somebody who knows more about this stuff than me, but there are these traditions around the world, and I think the most familiar one for a lot of us in the U.S. might be hymns in church, but which is not necessarily an improvisational tradition, depending on which church is. But for people from India, in that musical tradition, the raga is the is really what I'm more orienting around, in terms of, sort of this practice, not that it's a religious practice, but the practice of just improvising around different vague musical themes. And I just thought I'd play a little instrumental music for you. And I also, to explain beforehand, what I'm doing is just making stuff up based around certain notes in the scale. and I'm tuned to an open tuning for those of you who are into this kind of stuff in a more geeky kind of way. And questions, comments are all welcome of any level of geekiness. This is a mandola, which is a mandolin 1/5 lower. It's like a viola to a violin. And for all you bluegrass fans out there, it's very embarrassing to admit this, but I am not playing it in standard tuning. I don't know why it's embarrassing to admit this, because I feel like I should become a mandola expert in the traditional sense before I start messing around with all this other stuff. But anyway, I'm not doing that. And I do not know how to play like traditional bluegrass if you actually are into bluegrass in a real serious way. But what I've been really doing is more like experimenting with things that sound a little bluegrassy, and also you may note stuff that you may note other musical influences. Let's just say, and if you do, I'm curious if you hear that in any of these. But I'll just stop talking and just move the mic to the mandola and just play some music for you. Oh, and I'm playing a mandola tuned to for those interested. It's basically tuned to dad. It's like if you are used to playing dadgad and dadgad open tuning on a guitar. It's like that, except mandola is generally starts with C, so it's C G C F is the tuning I'm using here. That's what I've been spending a lot of time doing, wandering around the parks. If you live in Portland, Oregon, come to Kenilworth Park and bring an instrument and jam with me. I go to Vista Brook Park a lot too on Thursdays, and I play better when I'm warmed up and not in the spotlight. But I had a wonderful tour in Denmark last month where everything is back to normal, and it was great. Looking forward to going to England in a few weeks, and Scotland, Germany, and Ireland. I don't know how back to normal things are in any of those places, but seems like I used to have my guitar visible. Let's see if I can do something about that. Let's see here. Looks like maybe a little better. So I take requests, but I start with this song. It has been a while since it got like really, really hot in Portland, as far as I know. But it got really hot last summer. Blinken's bombing Baghdad, there's a famine in Tigray. Fires are burning in Flagstaff, blocking out the day. The wind blows so fiercely, the grass is turning brown. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. The prices of houses are rising like never before, along with ocean waters as the temperatures soar. The developers develop, water tables go down. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. In the Congress, they're discussing infrastructure, whether it should be built to withstand fire. They're not sure. They found a dead man in an RV wearing a thorny crown. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. Outside the motel, a man was flipping out. He called 911 to tell them about his need for mental health care, so they came and shot him down. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. Don't know where we're going, what kind of shit's in store. I know I'm not the first to feel like I'm knocking on the door of either a new dystopia or a movement of renown. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. In the farms in the valley, they're out picking cherries, dropping dead on the field with a bucket of berries. City of bridges, each one like a frown. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. No way out, even north of the border. Welcome to the New World Order, produced by criminal corporate clowns. It's 116 degrees in Portland town. Oh, Jeff Milne, that's a very good suggestion. Where is it? It was just in Denmark, as noted, and Denmark is very relevant today, after the day after these protests all over the world, climate related, and of course the COP26 is coming up. I will be in Scotland for that. I'm very much looking forward to it, and seeing what kind of trouble I can get into there, and very relevant and notable that the first industrial-scale windmill ever built was built by a collective effort of folks who were part of a movement, a school system movement based out of Ulfborg, Denmark, called Tvind, and I wrote a song about it, and I guess if anything sounded really bad, people might have said something already. But if it does, if I can change things with volume, whatever, distortion, tone, just let me know, okay? It was in the 1970s. The fuel crisis had begun. The choices were presented to us as if we had none. Leaders of industry said they could solve the problem by mastering the power of the radioactive atom. Some folks in Western Jutland got a notion in their heads. They thought there might be something they could offer up instead. A few hundred people gathered at a little place called Tvind and declared their will to harness the power of the wind. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. There were many who said their science wasn't sound, that such a mighty windmill would simply topple to the ground. Some of them were scientists, the vast majority were not, but they knew with years of effort you could do a lot. Word about the project spread far and wide. 100,000 visitors came to help and to advise. Until one day these windmill builders drove in with a crane and lifted up their giant wings with a mighty chain. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. When Tvindkraft was completed, it reached up to the sky. Its wings churned in the air. At 54 meters high, the critics all fell silent. No one now was jeering, as even industry agreed this was some damn fine engineering. The wind regaled Jutland from the North Atlantic Sea, as it was seamlessly converted into electricity. It was power for the people, leukemia for none, when they declared in Denmark, just south of the midnight sun. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. They gave away the patents. They said knowledge should be free. And their plans were copied by a newborn industry. Soon Denmark would be known as a windmill building nation. And it all started with some hippies at the Tvindkraft power station. Debates were held in Parliament about which way things should go. Build a nuclear reactor, the majority said no. It could have gone quite differently. In much of the world it did, except for those in Ulfborg who said we're getting off the grid. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. We're gonna build the biggest windmill in the world. Oh, let's see. That's a good idea. Oh, where is it? This is. I really should have the song that people are looking for. What the heck? How could it not be there? Okay. This is live internet, folks. We don't have the file. We're getting the file live on the internet. And of course, nothing wants to load. Not while we're live. Of course, the files that normally load right away aren't. So it's Dropbox. Dropbox is conspiring against us, along with the NSA and the Russians. I mean, I don't know who's doing it, but why Battle of Blair Mountain is not in this, I don't know, but we'll have to get back to that if Dropbox decides to load. I'll do this one because there's tens of thousands of Haitian refugees who have just been beaten and lashed with whips and loaded onto planes and deported to a country that has just suffered from a horrible earthquake, where the president has just been assassinated, and where, more pertinently, the U.S. has overthrown the government several times. Quite recently, the last time they had a government in Haiti that was really serving the interests of the people was when Jean-Bertrand Aristide was in power, and the United States overthrew that government under Bill Clinton, who was a Democrat, incidentally. And, you know, Haiti has been suffering for a long time, mainly because of foreign powers like France, Canada, and the United States, making the lives of the Haitian people miserable. Haiti had to pay debts to France for existing. That's called reparations, by the way. Reparations is a thing, but it's the slaves paying back their former owners. That's reparations in practice. It's not the way it should be. It should be obviously the other way. But the history of Haiti is a history of Haiti, of the government paying reparations to France, often amounting to 80% of the budget of the country. That's only part of why Haiti is such a disaster today. But even after all of that, even after the deforestation and complete environmental destruction of the country in order to farm cash crops, not to say anything of the destruction on the bodies of the people working those cash crops, after all of what happened to Haiti, still, when Aristide came to power, when the Lavalas movement brought Aristide to power, things were really improving in Haiti, because that's what competent government can do. When there's a social movement that brings a government to power, that's what it can do. But the U.S. overthrew it. That's what the U.S. does. They called him a communist. And now the descendant of Bill Clinton, Joe Biden, same number of syllables, interestingly. Maybe that's the least interesting thing that they have in common. But Joe Biden is, carrying out the same kinds of policies as Trump and Bill Clinton did. Except that Trump didn't overthrow the Haitian government, Bill Clinton did. And if you try to help these refugees, you can face decades in prison. And this is a song about that. Go to Pima County in the Sonoran Desert Lands. You'll find the town of Ajo among the cactus stands. The only town you'll see, the only water too. When someone is thirsty, there's no question what you do. For well over a century, it was a normal thing to have an extra jug of water that you might bring. In the harsh Sonoran, Arizona summer heat, we'd rather give the vultures something else to eat. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger. You let me in. I have this book here, a story I learned well. I always thought I understood the tale that it tells. It's spelled out very clearly in Matthew 25. What a good Christian does when a stranger arrives. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger. You let me in. Now there's a crackdown with life and death on trial. The only place with water for 100 miles. Facing 20 years in prison is a very mighty rod. Now all of us are forced to choose between Caesar and God. You didn't ask where I was going, nor where I'd been. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty, you gave me drink. I was naked, you gave me clothes. I was a stranger. You let me in. You let me in. You let me in. Yeah. They say Black Lives Matter. Joe Biden says that. But he's demonstrating he believes the opposite, as is the entire U.S. government every time they deport a Haitian. And a lot of other times. But that's just crazy, deporting people to Haiti. That's crazy. And but a lot of things are crazy. We're going to be having lots more climate refugees. Not to mention the economic ones and the political ones. They tend to go together. I got a new album out, by the way, as of, what is it? I don't know. When? August, I guess. July? August. Maybe September. Can't remember, but recent. August. The end of August. Yeah. It was at the end of after the Danish tour ended is when it came out. So, yeah. The beginning of September. It's called Mayday. You'll find it on Spotify and elsewhere. And a lot of these songs I'm doing are on the album. At least the first one and this one. I'd write a line for your appendix, several for your spleen. I'd write one for every day you've had to quarantine. I'd write at least a couple verses, the purest ones I ever sung. If it might help you breathe easier, one for each lung. I'd sing for both your eyes, for all the words you couldn't say. If a song could make your troubles go away, I'd write a line for the state in the hope it might fulfill a few basic obligations, a verse for the popular will, for all the help that was promised, for each check that never came. A few words for the hunger, a few more for the shame, for a little while, a lullaby to keep it all at bay. If a song could make your troubles go away, I'd write a line for every pickup truck loaded up with freight, one for every worker burdened by the weight, one for the cartoneros, for each bag stuffed with cans, verses for the veterans and for those who just began, one for each evacuee looking for a place to stay. If a song could make your troubles go away, I'd write a line for all the lonely, for the imprisoned and the trapped, one for every trouble in which each of us are wrapped. I'd write a line for the future, for how things must evolve if these inequities are problems that we really want to solve. I'd write a verse about the dreamers dreaming of a brighter day. If a song could make your troubles go away, if a song could make your troubles go away. Well, I've seen these requests for Viva la Quinta Brigada, which I love that song, but I never learned it. Wow, it's a wordy song, that one. I love that song, though. But just on the off chance that the person requesting that one doesn't know this song about another volunteer battalion. It's a true story. Writing this song has been one of the best things to happen to me, just because I get to read the YouTube comments every day and learn a little more Spanish. My name is John Riley. I'll have your ear only a while. I left my dear home in Ireland. It was death, starvation, or exile. When I got to America, it was my duty to go, enter the army and slog across Texas to join in the war against Mexico. It was there in the pueblos and hillsides that I saw the mistake I had made. Part of a conquering army with the morals of a bayonet blade. So in the midst of these poor dying Catholics, screaming children, the burning stench of it all, myself and 200 Irishmen decided to rise to the call. From Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied. So we formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. We marched neath the green flag of St. Patrick, emblazoned with Erin Goldbra, bright with the harp and the shamrock, and Libertad para la Republica. Just 50 years after Wolfe Tone, 5,000 miles away, the Yanks called us a legion of strangers, and they can talk as they may. But from Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied. So we formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. We fought them in 5 major battles. Churubusco was the last. Overwhelmed by the cannons from Boston, we fell after each mortar blast. Most of us died on that hillside in the service of the Mexican state. So far from our occupied homeland, we were heroes and victims of fate. From Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied. So we formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. From Dublin City to San Diego, we witnessed freedom denied. So we formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. We formed the St. Patrick Battalion and we fought on the Mexican side. Yeah. Good. Yes. In occupied Mexico, otherwise known as Los Angeles. Otherwise known as a lot of the country. The Great Southwest, as they call it. Formerly the Great South Northeast. Sorry not to get to all these different requests, but the one that was just requested, I need to do that now. Randomly enough. Well, it's not random. I have to do at least something about landlords because, you know, for much of the country here, the eviction moratorium is over. The evictions are happening in a big way. And, yeah, there's like all this money in the pipeline, but it's not getting to renters or landlords. A lot of them you haven't even heard that it exists. And But of course, what we need are real rent control laws that make intergenerational communities and housing a human right, and not these playgrounds for the rich like Portland and San Francisco. The patroons came from Holland to America, became landlords where none had been before. Soon one man owned 500,000 acres on both sides of the Hudson River shore. He invited families to move in and give him 30% of everything they grew every year. This is how they'd pay the rent. His name was Van Rensselaer. He became one of the richest men on earth. In today's terms, $90 billion is how much he'd be worth. All this for doing nothing but saying all of this was his. I have the power of the state behind me, and I'm in the landlord biz. After 200 years of this and one revolution, another Van Rensselaer had another son, and this Rensselaer was greedier. His ancestors, dead and past. It was the 1840s, and things were changing fast. It was the strike that broke the back. The bottle was uncorked. They started organizing meetings, the tenant farmers of New York. They found the strength of numbers. They found the power of suggestion. They found each other asking the same question. Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? They vowed they would stop the rent collection. They vowed they'd bring this madness to an end. And when one blew the tin horn of distress, they soon found they had 1,000 friends dressed in calico skirts with masks upon their faces, on horseback, armed with knives and guns. They chanted and they yelled, they kept their farms, and they kept the sheriffs on the run. They asked, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? The governor's militias tried to stop them, but nothing could be done to break their will. And by 1848, the landlords buckled, sold their holdings to the farmers in the hills. Yes, they overthrew this feudal system, but it's replaced now by speculators and banks. And you can still hear the homeless families asking of all the landed gentry in our ranks, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? Who gave you the right? And you can go to abolishevictions.org if you want to be part of the local struggle to keep people housed. And let's see here. Let's see. The Biden administration is, of course, still, as was Obama and Trump, still trying to deport, what do you call it, extradite Julian Assange to the United States to face charges and potential 175-year prison sentence. And what he's guilty of in their eyes is journalism. And that is what they want to criminalize: real, effective journalism, whistleblowing, and facilitating whistleblowing, real journalism. Behind these prison walls, there's a man who's won awards for the work that he has done and all that it affords, such as knowledge of the horrors committed in our name. They can't stop the message, so the messenger gets blamed. Behind these prison walls, in solitary confinement, in a land of rolling hills and royalty and other such refinement, is someone who is a hero to whistleblowers everywhere, who help them tell the world of the crimes of Tony Blair. Behind these prison walls, you will find a mortal man. The reason why we know what happened in Afghanistan, when the soldiers of the empire, whose sun set long before, were torturing civilians in their terror war. Behind these prison walls is a part of WikiLeaks, an eloquent orator, but you won't hear him speak. Locked away in silence, one who knows too well how those in power act when there's another war to sell. Behind these prison walls is one who stands accused of exactly what offenses the U.S. has refused to say precisely which, or to try to clear the mist, or to explain how he's not the same as other journalists. Behind these prison walls is a person they deprive of most of the things in life that keep us all alive. A person being tortured as we stand here now for revealing the war crimes. Why, when, where, how? Behind these prison walls, our very right to be informed of what the hell is going on is the teacup in this storm. With knowledge there is power, so the solution by the crown, a 24-hour-a-day indefinite lockdown behind these prison walls. And Assange did a lot of things right, is what Assange did. Let's see. That's why he's in prison. Let's see what I was going to do. This. I wrote this song for all the Twitter trolls, everybody else who doesn't like me. And also, but it's really more about a lot of other things. This machine is dangerous. It communicates. It can carry means that can destabilize a state. It can carry rumors, whether true or not. It can sow discord like an agent or a bot. It can bring people together. It can unify, or it can spread half-truths and lies. This machine is dangerous. It can light a fire. There may be no limit to what it can inspire. Bring a person to the edge of sanity and back. It can mobilize a mob to attack. It can fire ammunition with each swing of a pick, faster than Jackie Chan can kick. This machine is dangerous. It's locked and loaded. Each string is a grenade that hasn't yet exploded because it exists here in the world on the net. Whether it's on Twitch or on your TV set, with words, ideas can spread, each one a potential bullet in the head. This machine is dangerous. It can make you dance. It can make you feel like maybe you have a chance. It can sell a brand of ketchup. It can save your soul. It can create division if division is the goal. It can build a movement, or it can call it out. Of one thing at least there is no doubt. This machine is dangerous. Let's see. So, what is this? Some kind of like weird bot on YouTube talking about washing hands and coughing in your elbow? What the heck? I mean, it must be a bot, right? Otherwise, is there actually anybody who does something like that? Like just goes randomly comments on YouTube videos about people washing their hands? I don't know. It's a very strange world, and it gets stranger as the internet takes over and we all become cyborgs. Well, I am glad that you could join me for the hour. I will be back someday in the not too distant future, I'm sure, on the internet. Probably not next month because I'll be on tour. Oh, and speaking of that, I'll be on tour. If you're in England, Scotland, Ireland, or Germany, I'm going to be there. And I have lots of free dates for more gigs in any of those places. If anybody has any inclination to organize something, and otherwise all the gigs I have are on my website, davidrovics.com. And there's a click, on upcoming gigs there. I think there's davidrovics.com/tour, actually. And all my gigs are there. And if I have anybody coming to the gigs, it's going to be because you tell your friends in places like London, Belfast, Berlin, Munich, Liverpool, Birmingham, Edinburgh. If you know people in those towns, please tell them that I'm playing in those towns. And then I might have an audience, and that would be really nice for a lot of different reasons. But I'm really especially looking forward to being at the COP26 climate protests in Glasgow. I will be singing at probably various events. I don't know exactly yet, but there will be lots of stuff going on. I'll be singing at stuff, particularly on November 6th. There's a lot happening, but there's a lot going on generally. And if I ever figure out who to ask about playing at the big rally, this is the song I will do. And if you know who's organizing the big rally in Glasgow, please tell them I want to sing there. The death toll keeps mounting each time I turn on my phone. Another mass shooting, another free fire zone. The failed states of America, white supremacist rule, a society riven with victims and tools. The fires keep burning, completely out of control. Makes you miss the old days of the ozone hole. The snow is all melting, the lakes of Greenland. Best hope that I have, I hold in my hand. If there's a tomorrow, then when yesterday's through, you have me, and I have you. We might have to leave town, or maybe we'll fall beneath a hail of bullets at the shopping mall. Perhaps we'll be arrested, perhaps they'll pass us by. But wherever we might be, when we look up at the sky, if there's a tomorrow, then when yesterday's through, you have me, and I have you. They can call it natural, made by humankind. We'd like it to be different, but this is the place we find, the one we inherit, the one we're in now. Whatever might come of the future, why, when, how? If there's a tomorrow, then when yesterday's through, you have me, and I have you. If there's a tomorrow, then when yesterday's through, you have me, and I have you. I have you. Let the note ring out until it becomes drowned in the background hum of our refrigerator. Do you hear that? I hear it all the time, whenever it's on. And when it goes off, I relax. That's your little comment on the state of my mental health for the day. Thank you for joining me. I will see you if you live in England, Scotland, Germany, or Ireland. I hope I will see you in the next few weeks. If you live in Portland, Oregon, drop by somewhere and say hi. Come to Kenilworth Park. I'm often there with my kids playing the Mandola and Vista Brook Park. You know, I advertise my whereabouts because that's how it is, you know. You can easily come find me at any of my gigs if you want to assassinate me. So, you know, you can do it in the park. You can do it at a gig, whatever. Hope to see you, especially if you don't want to assassinate me. And have a good one. Keep on keeping on. And don't let pandemonium and climate change and capitalism get you down unless you're already dead. Take care, guys. Bye for now.